You are, it seems, a man of many skills. A rare combination.
What's up, guys? For today's shop vlog, I wanted to do a rig walk around of my Jeep Limbo. So Limbo is a 1993 Jeep Wrangler YJ. It is the Sahara package for 1993. So he came with a really cool interior that had the saddlebags on the back of the seats and just, you know, really cool interior. And luckily for me, it was actually still in pretty good shape. So I really enjoyed that interior. I have my eye on some PRP seats though for the front that I am really interested in, so might have to change, not really sure about that. So for the drivetrain on the Jeep, I'm still running the stock 4-liter straight 6 engine with the AX15 5-speed manual transmission. And this Jeep is actually on its second 4-liter, because I have over 250,000 miles on the Jeep and it still runs great. The fuel economy is obviously terrible, but the Jeep does run really good. Behind the AX15, I have an Advanced Adapters Atlas 4-speed transfer case, and the gear ratios that I have in that transfer case are, I have obviously have 1-to-1 for street driving. And then I have 2.72 to 1, which is kind of like the MP231 transfer case ratio that was in it previously. And then I also have a 3.8 to 1 ratio, and then I also have the 10.38 to 1 ratio. And the axles that I have 410 gears in them, because I'm running a 35, and so with the 410s, my final crawl ratio is about 163 to 1, which is pretty slow. It's pretty awesome, actually. For axles, I have a Ford 8.8 in the rear, and I'm still running the stock Dana 30 high pinion axle in the front. Both axles have ARB air lockers. I did do the CAD delete, and so I took all that stuff out of the passenger side of the axle, and I'm just running a stock Jeep TJ axle shaft in there, and that's all I did. I just basically pulled all the stuff out, and you had to change a couple seals out, but other than that, you just put the new TJ shaft in, and it fits fine. It's been great too. The selectable lockers have been awesome. Before that, I actually had this guy right here, which was I had the what do they call that? I don't know, it's a Spartan locker, I forget, Aussie locker or whatever. Anyway, I had that in there before, but man, the selectable lockers are awesome. The switches for my selectable lockers are actually in the center console of the Jeep, where I guess it's like supposed to be like a little paper holder, but I decided to go ahead and put the switches in there. And I have an ARB air compressor. I don't have the twin tank, I just have the single one, which is good for running the air lockers, and also if you need to air up a tire or something, you can do that. And one of the most important features of my Jeep is air conditioning in Central Florida, because it's so hot here sometimes. So that pretty much takes care of that. For tires, I'm running 35, 12, 50, 15 Milestar Patagonia mud terrain tires. They've been awesome. They are just a great tire. And in fact, I'm either gonna get another set of 35s, or I might get a new set of wheels and just put 37s if I trust the Dana 30 and put RCVs in it. I might go 37s. Not really sure if I'm gonna do that yet, but for now, that's what I'm running, a 35, 12, 50, 15. And the wheels that I have are Mickey Thompson 15 by 8, I believe, with a 3 3/4 inch back spacing with the faux bead lock. For my rear tire carrier, I'm running the Best Top rear tire carrier. What I actually like about this tire carrier is that it's a single hand operation. You just open up the tailgate just like you normally would with the OEM tire carrier that came with the Jeep. There's no like extra latches or anything to fiddle around with. And I was a little worried when I bought it because some of the welding on it doesn't look that great, but it's actually been a really good, solid tire carrier, and I've had no problems from it whatsoever. Also from Best Top, I'm running the sailcloth top, and I think I've had that 2 or 3 years now. I can't remember, maybe it's 2 years, but that thing still looks brand new in person. It looks amazing. It was worth the extra 200 bucks. I mean, I will never buy anything different for this Jeep besides that. For suspension on the Jeep, I'm running the Old Man Emu 2.5 inch lift springs. I'm still on leaf springs, and I don't have any sway bar or track bars or any of that stuff. That stuff's all removed, and the Jeep does amazing. I don't have any problems. I can drive 70 miles an hour down the road, and even though the mile stars are starting to get a little loud because I've got some miles on them now, everything is just fine. I have to go pretty far if I want to go wheeling, so, and I drive it, I don't tow it yet to the trail. So those lift springs are amazing, and I recommend those too for sure. For shocks, I was running the Bilstein 5100 series, I believe, in the front and rear, but I had a problem in the rear because of my axle shock, or the shock relocation, that they were too long. So I ended up purchasing the Old Man Emu shocks, and they actually are a lot softer on the road than the 5100s, the Bilsteins. And I still have those up front, the Bilsteins. I may change those out in the future, I'm not really sure. So I've just been happy with the Old Man Emu stuff. If you've got a YJ, buy that. So also on Limbo, what I did was I used the Motobilt rear axle stretch kit to move the axle back 6.5 inches. So Limbo has a 100-inch wheelbase now. And because of that, I had to take the gas tank out, so I'm also running the Motobilt fuel cell for behind the seat of a YJ. And I basically ran all of the AN fittings to some bulkhead AN fittings, and I had to drill some holes in the tub or whatever, but then they go through that and underneath the Jeep I'm running a Walbro 255 liters per hour? 255, I don't know. 255 liter per hour, I think that's what it is. It doesn't matter. Anyway, a Walbro 255. Fuel pump is what I'm running for fuel delivery, and it's given me zero problems so far. I've read a lot of mixed reviews about the Walbro pumps. Some people say they use them, a couple times and they don't work or whatever, but I have had zero problems out of mine. It has worked awesome. So when I stretch the axle back, you can't put the shocks back in their original location in the upper part, the upper mount, because you're stretching the shock down at such a weird angle that you just start having some problems. So what I did for that was I cut some 1/4 inch steel plate up. I think it was 1/4 inch. I don't know. I can't remember. Anyway, it was thick enough to make basically a bracket, and then I welded a 1/2 inch bolt through the bracket, and then and then I just moved it back. And how I determined how I was going to mount my shock was I actually measured the angle of the shock before I took the whole thing apart, and then when I moved the bracket back, I made sure to move it the exact same distance back as how far back I moved the whole axle, relative or whatever, and then I put an angle finder on there and I made it go to the exact angle as OEM, and I've had no problems, and it's worked great. So that's what I did to relocate the upper mount for the shocks. What else do we got on this thing? For headlights, I think I just bought some cheapos from eBay a long time ago, and this is what I will say about the cheapo LED lights from eBay. I've noticed, at least for me, and maybe it's just because I'm getting older, but when it's colder outside, I feel like the lights are much brighter than when it's warm outside. I don't know if that's just a quality issue, I have no idea. But I just feel like when I'm driving and it's hot outside, summertime or whatever, the lights are not as bright as they are when it's cold. Or maybe it's vice versa. All I know is when there's a temperature difference, sometimes they seem brighter. And if I probably went with JW speaker, I would probably not have that problem. So I don't know. the bottom line is I can see pretty good with them and they're not terrible. That really wasn't a great review, was it? Anyway, so I'm running those, and then I have some thin mount square LED lights in the back, and they've been fine. You know, you can see those at night. That's all that matters there. Yeah, so that's Limbo so far. I still have the stock steering on him. I'm probably gonna address that this year because I really, when I go to Jeep Beach, they're gonna rehold Jeep Beach in September this year, and I really wanna do the rock garden. But anytime I do any kind of like really slow crawling, I feel like I'm gonna break the steering, because if anybody's ever seen stock YJ steering, it's like, I call it toothpick steering. It just looks like it's gonna break if you just look at it wrong. So I'm probably gonna address that before Jeep Beach this year, and I'll probably ride them out like this for a year or two before I look into upgrading axles and going to bigger tires, because honestly, my off-roading driving skills need some work. So anyway, if you're still watching, thanks a lot. Subscribe, like, share, all that other stuff, and I'll see you on the next video.